Hey, it's Jamie East here from the Smart 7, and today's episode is brought to you by Pension Bee and their award-winning Pension Confident podcast. Getting your head around pensions might seem overwhelming, but that's where Pension Bee comes in. They're on a mission to build pension confidence. So whether you're just starting on your pension journey, you're nearing retirement, or like me, you're somewhere a little bit in between, then you should have a listen to the Pension Confident podcast. It's an award-winning podcast that digs into topics that really matter with the help of financial experts. So that could be the basics of how pensions, ISAs or mortgages work, and things like how to get started on saving for a happy retirement. And a bit like the Smart 7 does with the news, they break down complex pensions finance into language that we can all understand. You can listen or download the Pension Confident podcast wherever you get your podcast from, or you can watch the episodes on YouTube. And remember, anything discussed on the podcast shouldn't be regarded as financial or legal advice, and when investing, your capital is at risk. On today's Smart 7, Rayner under pressure over stamp duty, Epstein survivors focus on Trump and much more. It's Thursday, 4th of September, it's National Wildlife Day, and happy birthday, Beyonce.
The Smart 7. It's news, but not the news.
Deputy Prime Minister and Housing Secretary Angela Rayner found herself in political hot water on Wednesday. She's been dogged by questions about her property and living arrangements, and she referred herself to the parliamentary watchdog on Wednesday as it became clear that she had underpaid stamp duty on a flat she bought in Hove. It's complicated because of her personal circumstances, but Prime Minister Keir Starmer commended her for doing the right thing by referring herself to the watchdog. She explained what happened to Sky News.
It's been quite a distressing time for my family. The advice that I received was inaccurate. As soon as I knew, I have alerted and referred myself to the independent advisor on the ministerial code, and also contacted HMRC to say that there is additional tax owing on this.
Tory leader Kemi Badenoch's reaction at PMQs was to challenge Starmer over his deputy, saying if he had a backbone, he'd sack her. Badenoch was also scathing about this week's tightening of the bond markets and the implications for November's budget.
Conservatives left him the fastest growing economy in the G7. Under him, the cost of our borrowing is now higher than in Greece. Why does the Prime Minister think this is?
If it had been the party opposite, there wouldn't have been the accountability that there now is in place, because they spent years and years avoiding it.
Thursday will see European leaders meet with Ukrainian President Zelensky in Paris as they look to break the deadlock on peace talks between Russia and Ukraine. There's been no progress of any note since US President Trump met with Russian President Putin in Alaska, with the Russian side trying various delaying tactics to avoid face-to-face talks between the two leaders. Russia has stepped up its attacks on Kyiv, and Putin suggested in Beijing on Wednesday that he'd meet with Zelensky in Moscow, which is probably not an appealing option, and the Ukrainian foreign minister accused the Russian president of messing around over talks. Putin also met with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un in China and thanked him for his support of Russia's war effort.
I'd like to note that your warriors fought bravely and heroically. We will also never forget those sacrifices that your armed forces and their families bore. In the name of the Russian people, I want to thank you for this participation in our joint fight with modern neo-Nazism.
NATO Secretary-General Mark Rutte was in Brussels meeting with the Estonian president, and Rutte was keen to emphasise that military aid is still flowing to Ukraine.
President Trump and I announced a new NATO initiative to deliver urgent support to Ukraine. This mechanism has channeled $2 billion of urgently needed aid to Ukraine. We are all working to bring an end to this terrible war.
Donald Trump has been battling for months now to diffuse the frustration amongst his supporters over the Epstein files. He pledged to release the details on the convicted sex trafficker as part of his election campaign, but has been deeply reluctant to do so. Once he took office, he continued to claim the whole affair is a Democrat hoax, even as Epstein survivors gathered for a press conference in Washington, D.C. His Republican allies in Congress released some 30,000 pages of material on Wednesday, but almost all of it had been previously released, and survivor Marina Lacerda, speaking for the first time, was direct in her accusation towards the president.
The truth is, Epstein had a free pass. He bragged about his powerful friends, including our current president, Donald Trump. It was his biggest brag, actually. What I endured will haunt me forever. This kind of trauma never leaves you.
Health Secretary Weststreeting confirmed on Wednesday that the government is intending to go ahead with a ban on energy drinks for those under 16. The high caffeine drinks can cause disrupted sleep, increased anxiety, and may affect students' ability to concentrate in school. There will be a 12-week consultation on the issue before legislation is brought forward, and Prime Minister Keir Starmer says that it's not a question of the UK being a nanny state. It's about protecting kids. The Health Secretary says parents agree.
The overwhelming majority of parents, 8 in 10, are concerned about this and have urged government to act. Doctors have warned about the health impact of these drinks. That's why this government is acting.
Still to come on today's Smart 7 in association with Metro, Liverpool's new signing speaks out and Paul Mescal reveals his one weakness. Right after this.
Hey, it's Jamie East here from the Smart 7, and today's episode is brought to you by Pension Bee and their award-winning Pension Confident podcast. Getting your head around pensions might seem overwhelming, but that's where Pension Bee comes in. They're on a mission to build pension confidence. So whether you're just starting on your pension journey, you're nearing retirement, or like me, you're somewhere a little bit in between, then you should have a listen to the Pension Confident podcast. It's an award-winning podcast that digs into topics that really matter with the help of financial experts. So that could be the basics of how pensions, ISAs or mortgages work, and things like how to get started on saving for a happy retirement. And a bit like the Smart 7 does with the news, they break down complex pensions finance into language that we can all understand. You can listen or download the Pension Confident podcast wherever you get your podcast from, or you can watch the episodes on YouTube. And remember, anything discussed on the podcast shouldn't be regarded as financial or legal advice, and when investing, your capital is at risk.
Welcome back.
Thursday sees another round of qualifying games for the 2026 World Cup. Northern Ireland and Wales are in action, while Scotland play on Friday and England face Andorra on Saturday. Sweden are also in action on Friday, facing Slovenia, and Liverpool's record-breaking signing Alexander Isak is in the Swedish squad, so there was huge press interest in Arne Slot's new 9-figure star. His move saw over a month of wrangling with Newcastle, but he's happy to have landed at Liverpool.
I feel amazing. It's been a long journey, to get here. I'm super happy to be a part of this team, this club, and everything it stands for.
There are some unusual pairings in the cinema this autumn. Benedict Cumberbatch and Olivia Colman as a divorcing couple in The Roses, and Paul Mescal and Josh O'Connor as folk musicians in a gay historical romance. The two male heartthrobs seem to be enjoying the spotlight, though, popping up on The Tonight Show to talk about the history of sound, which hits cinemas next week. They chatted about playing a couple, how they met on Zoom, and their abiding love for American candy.
We were on a diet, but there is a key issue with that, which is the soft Jolly Rancher.
We'd say to the crew, only give us 4. We'd break that rule.
And then on Friday,
all bets are off. That was Jolly Rancher Day.
Friday.
Gary Oldman and his band of misfit spies are back for season 5 of Slow Horses. All the regulars return, including Kirsten Scott Thomas, Jack Loudon, Jonathan Pryce and Saskia Reeves. There's a few new faces too, with a guest star role for Ted Lasso's Nick Mohammed. This time the story centres around a terror plot, so no surprise there, but it appears it may be connected to Roddy's glamorous new girlfriend, which is surprising. The first episode is set to drop on September 24th, and there'll be a new episode each week on Apple TV+.
I'm putting Slough House in lockdown.
If this is an on-the-spot performance review, I have to tell you I am absolutely killing him.
11 people were killed yesterday morning. No one leaves.
We've killed and plundered and blackmailed, and now it's being done to us. We've already been thrown out.
You've been listening to The Smart 7. We'll be back tomorrow at 7 a.m. Hit that follow button and have a great day. Give us 7 minutes, and we'll give you the world.
El rugido de los aficionados, el ritmo de las porras, la intensidad en la cancha. Esto es más que solo un partido de fútbol. Con DraftKings Sportsbook, esta es tu oportunidad de convertir cada jugada en una gran ganancia. Descarga la app de DraftKings Sportsbook y usa el código HEART. Ese es el código HEART para que los nuevos usuarios reciban $200 en bonus bets al instante cuando apuestes solo $5. En asociación con DraftKings, la corona es tuya. ¿Problemas con el juego? Llama al 1-800-GAMBLER. En Nueva York, llama al 877-8-HOPE-NY o envía un mensaje de texto con la palabra HOPE-NY al 467-369. En Connecticut, hay ayuda disponible para problemas con el juego. Llama al 888-789-7777 o visita ccpg.org. Juega responsablemente. En nombre de Boot Hill Casino and Resort, Kansas. Debe ser mayor de 21 años. La elegibilidad varía según la jurisdicción. No válido en Ontario. Pueden aplicarse cargos en Illinois. Las apuestas de bonos son de un solo uso. La apuesta no se incluye en las ganancias y caducan después de ser otorgadas. La oferta finaliza el 29 de septiembre 2025 a las 11:59 p.m. hora del este. Los términos en DraftKings.com/sportsbook/pro.